Welcome to The Blueprint, where we seek out individuals that are built to be the best, giving us tips and tools to excel, taking us to the next level of growth.
New Year's resolutions. Let's talk about them for a minute. I know a lot of people have them, some people don't. I don't know, I think it was like 3, maybe even 4 years ago, my resolution was to never have a New Year's resolution again. And when I tell people that, that's like pretty crazy, but it's in the sense that how resolutions are currently being done. So when someone asks me today what my New Year's resolution is, what I give them is what I'm currently working on, right? And that's what I mean by like 3-4 years ago, I said I'll never have a resolution again. My resolution was to not have one because I didn't want to create resolutions how most were coming up with them. And that being said, so Forbes Health released an article actually just a couple days ago that said 62% of Americans actually just feel pressured to set a New Year's resolution. So not that they're actually setting them, but 62% of them that set a resolution basically kind of just came up with it on the spur of the moment. And that's what I was meaning by not having one anymore, is I didn't want to do the standard, okay, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to go to the gym, right? Those sorts of things. And there's a few things that I think work really well with setting resolutions. And then there's some pitfalls, right? So I kind of alluded to one kind of that already has happened or come up. But when we look at what are the benefits of having a resolution or having a New Year's resolution, what are some things that come to mind for you guys? I think the first advantage that I see that jumps out to me, though, is it's a clean start. It's a starting point. It gives everyone a fresh start, kind of like anything up until then is like irrelevant. Like, I'm going to work on this now. So it gives somebody, a starting line to start their race. Anything else that might come to mind?
There's motivation around starting it, right? You it's the new year and you're ready to kind of put on your running shoes, pun kind of intended, to kind of get moving on something that you've wanted and you just haven't really thought that the time was right. The new year, it's for most people a time where they're able to just start fresh and maybe put that goal into play. Yeah.
No, exactly. So I think that there's a lot of excitement around it, right? Like kind of you're alluding to there is, everyone's kind of talking about it. It's buzzing, it's in the air, right, so to speak. But what also happens when everyone is also setting resolutions, guess what? Everyone's also asking about them. And when people start to share and ask, we know that kind of that personal accountability can certainly go up when you openly share your goals with people. You're more likely to achieve them, right? There's also the fact that if you want to go on a diet, man, New Year's is the best time to do it. The reason being is because everyone else is also trying to do their best, right? At least for the interim. So anytime I've ever wanted to go on a health cleanse, just for my own personal reasons, regardless of resolution or not, New Year's is really the best time to do it because I know no one's going to invite me over for cake and ice cream anytime soon. For at least a couple of weeks, I have the pressure off from friends trying to go out and eat unhealthy. So there's also that. So there's kind of like almost a tribe of people now trying to do the same thing, so you can get in with that and really try to move forward.
Yeah, from my perspective, it depends on how thoughtful the resolution process is for someone. And the resolution is more the end point, right? It's not what do you have to do to achieve it. It's just, I want to lose weight. And then there are the steps that are going to help you do that, whether it's eating more healthily or, implementing an exercise routine, whatever those steps to help you achieve that resolution. And I'm not sure that people really take the time to, thoughtfully put that plan in place. I mean, it's become such a tradition, a habit, a process where, it's the new year, let's make a resolution. So, I don't see oftentimes people really serious about it, but
yeah, no, that's perfect, Rita. So let's pivot a little bit. So essentially, in the Forbes Health article that I was reading, and I think some other sources I was looking at as well, kind of all pretty much say the same. So you have 62% of Americans who are saying they feel pressured to create the resolution. 80% say they have a resolution. 37% actually execute of all Americans. So like 2 in 5, right? So 2 in 5 have an active resolution that they've created. 87% say they'll stick with it confidently for 1 year. So out of everyone that creates the resolution, 87% say they stick with it for 1 year. Take a guess what the success rate is. Any guesses?
Less than 10%.
Rita, yeah, perfect. 6%. 6% actually stick with it. And in fact, 53% fail in the first 3 months. So that's like some huge drops, right? There's actually a day marked, and this is where I think we could have a follow-up conversation. January 17th is called National Quitters Day for a resolution. So that's like not even that much time, right? You got a couple weeks. We got National Quitters Day coming up on January 17th. But the 3-month mark, and that's where we've talked before in setting goals, right? If you could set a 90-day goal and stick with it, you're going to be successful, right? And we break down those 90-day goals into 30, 60, 90s, right? Because that 90 point is kind of that breaking point. After that, you have a much higher chance that you're going to stick with it, and you have very small drop-offs in the months after, like 1-2% drops in the success rate. So essentially, most of the people that are making it to the 90-day mark are making it to the year mark, and then after that, 6% stick with it. They're ongoing. So looking at what makes the difference and what some pitfalls are, again, if 87% say they're going to stick with it, but only 6% do, that just tells me that a lot of people struggle with goal setting, like you mentioned, Reed. I think waiting to the last minute, not being very specific, not taking the time to kind of evaluate what your goal root cause might actually be, what the driving factor would be. There's another day that they've come up with. It's called June 1st. June 1st is the New Year's Resolution Recommendation Day. So essentially on June 1st, they recommend kind of taking a look at the year, where you've been so far, where your goals were at, and really start getting ready for the new year. So June 1st would be another time that we should probably start talking about goals, and really that's like more of a touch point, really, and then just trying to be more successful at some of our personal goal settings. All right, so a few things, and Rita, you touched on a couple of them already, but wanted to kind of look at what do we think the reasons why so many people struggle with the resolutions or goals, because a lot of this, it's universal, and that's why I think, again, the benefit of the New Year's resolution comes out is the benefit is it gets everyone talking about goals and setting goals. So if nothing else, there's that, right? So when we say resolutions, it really is a lot of the same principles that we use to be successful at our goal setting, right? So number one, have your why. So I think if you look at majority of people that struggle, sometimes their goals maybe weren't even set for them, meaning they didn't really want them, but they felt pressured by society, family, friends, whatever, to complete the goal. And I give the example, eating healthy. I cannot set the goal to eat healthy. I can set a goal to do a 3-week cleanse, but I love French fries way too much to say I'm ever going to eat healthy. It's just not going to be me. I don't want to, right? So if you don't necessarily want to do it or have your why that goes behind it, then it's not going to work for you, right? It's just something that you said, if you don't like going to the gym, don't set your resolution to go to the gym. Find other ways that satisfy the need, or until you have a why. Some people have a life-changing event that generates that why, right? Something happens along the way, and that's the big kick in the pants they needed to generate the why. Other people, they just find what they enjoy, or they have some goal out there that they know this is going to get them to that. And then the why becomes a little bit more clear for them, right? The other thing is be specific. So, and again, Rita, you touched on that, is being specific. Eat healthier is not an actual goal. What does that mean? Go to the gym. It's not really an actual goal. What does that mean? And when you're being specific, set minimums and maximums. So this is one thing that I've been doing a lot of myself, particularly when it's an ongoing goal where I'm going to need to work at something on a regular basis. So I don't just say, hey, I'm going to do this every day, because is that really realistic for you? And then what happens is when you have a failure point and you miss one day, then it becomes really easy to miss 2 days and 3 days and 4 days, because it wasn't really realistic. So you knew you were going to fail. And then once you fail, it's easy just to continue failing along the way and not doing that, right? So what you can do is set minimums and maximums. So like right now, I'm trying to learn another language. So my minimum is to do at least one module, right? A learning module, one module 5 days a week at minimum. My maximum, though, is to do 5 modules for 5 days a week. The reason why you want to set a maximum, though, is because if you push yourself to the point that it's not, one, it won't bring a return, and 2, you likely will not want to do it the next day, right? So you have to kind of set what realistic goals are. If you've never been to the gym, right, you don't want to go into the gym and try to throw up a bunch of weight and spend 3 hours in there your first day. That's a recipe to make sure you don't go back for the next 3 days, and maybe not at all, right? So be kind of realistic in setting your minimums and maximums in terms of working towards your goals. The minimums allow, because look, I can do one module a day and it keeps me going, right? And if I keep going, I keep working at it. If I keep working at it, I'm going to stick with it. So that's why you want to set the minimum as well. The other part is you want to set an endpoint, right? So is it realistic to do this particular goal forever? What's your desired outcome? So being specific and having that desired outcome in mind will generate you an endpoint, right? So if you want to say, hey, look, again, weight loss is kind of the biggest one that I think people pick, but what does that mean for them? Is it a certain amount? And then what does that mean for their work? Do they stop going to the gym at that point? Do they reduce going to the gym? Do they eat whatever they want again, right? So how does that look for you? And for everyone, it's going to be different. For every goal, it's going to be different. But what that endpoint actually looks like? And that helps generate kind of that clear picture of success. So when we've talked about goal setting before, it's all about having that clear picture of success in mind at the end. So that way, when you're reviewing your goals on a regular basis, you can kind of go back and say, okay, yep, am I close? Am I getting closer? Am I there? How am I doing? Do I need to revisit it? The other part too is you can adjust your goal as you go. It's okay, right? It's okay to go 2 weeks in and go, man, I really set too high of a goal, or maybe, wow, I'm crushing this goal. This is way too easy for me. Adjust, right? Maybe you went 3 months in and stopped. There's no problem going back and going, oh man, whoops, I got to hit the reset button, right? The fact of the matter is, let's just say you're 80% successful at a goal. Is that a failure because you stopped it? I don't know. I think you're 80% successful is better than 0, right? It's really easy to just hit the reset button and pick it up again. The other thing is to tell someone that you're committed to. This is why the mentor system works, right? Having a mentor, somebody that can hold you accountable. I know I've had some of you share goals with me in the past, and then I'll follow up on them that are personal goals as well, just because it helps kind of hold us all accountable for that. So I'll tell you the goal I am working on myself this year, so you guys can hold me accountable, because I respect all of you a lot, is to sleep more. And very, very specifically, minimum is 7 hours a night. maximum is 9. Never want to sleep more than 9 hours. I feel terrible the next day, but less than 7. I notice over time I continually don't feel as crisp. I start to lag in the day. Even though like I have a habit of staying up late and trying to work and get things done, thinking I'm going to help myself out the next day, and really I feel even less productive the next day. So I'm going to do 6 days a week at 7 hours or more, and then looking to make sure that it's balanced out on an average scale for the week at a 7-hour to 8-hour average. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it for the next 90 days just to see how it affects. If I can get some noticeable trends out of it where I feel much better on a daily basis, then I'll look to continue it permanently. So kind of a lot. What do you guys think? What comes to mind?
So for me, I don't really do New Year's resolutions in the sense of like it starts on January 1st. So back in November, I made a commitment to myself that I was going to walk 30 minutes a day. And I think I mentioned this before, 30 minutes a day for each weekday. Obviously last week things fell off a little bit with the holiday. But I don't look at it like, oh my gosh, I already ruined my goal. I gotta restart and figure something else out. Nope. As soon as I woke up, this morning, I was back at it. I didn't let it hold me back. It's one of those things where I feel like a New Year's resolution can happen at any point in the year, so long as you're ready. So just kind of like with any goal, you won't do something unless you're actually ready for it. And so that's kind of how I look at my New Year's resolution. So my New Year's was actually November 27th. That's when my New Year's resolution went into play.
Love it.
So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And two, you have to think about, like, some people, depending on where they live, some goals might not line up, right? Like, for example, where I'm at, it's very cold and snows. If my goal, my resolution is to get out on my bike and ride more, I'm not going to start it in New Year's. I will fail for sure because it is snowing and icy and it wouldn't be good, right? So yeah, when is it best for you? I think that's where the common practice of just evaluating what you need to do and what you want to get done all year round is extremely important. But I'll go back to it again. The New Year's piece does add some nice elements, right, for community to kind of come together and really just make things better. But the last thing I'll kind of add to, right, is in kind of this study, they found that basically people have multiple goals instead of having like very, very small movements of progress, right? Where you have like one goal that you can set and work towards. Many have multiple goals. The downside of that, right? One, we already talked about them being often too vague, but the reality is you cannot change your entire being of who you've been all the way up until the very last minute of the ball drops, right? If you're a pizza eating, soda drinking, fry consuming person, you are going to find it extremely difficult to wake up the very next day eating 100% healthy, going to the gym 2 to 3 hours a day, reading a book every single day to complete one a week. Like it doesn't happen that way. That's how you end up facing burnout and likely not being successful. So make small improvements. The idea and concept of a New Year's resolution, a new you, right? Great concept, but we just have to kind of take it in strides and take the little pieces that will get us to where we want to be in that new year for new you on a scale, right? And just make it scalable and make small movements and see your success along the way. All right, with that, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. I hope that you guys, again, can use some of this information, not just in a New Year's resolution format, but also in terms of goal setting. I think it's a great opportunity to kind of take a look back at some of our own individual goals and focus on what things can be actionable versus just avoidable.
For content suggestions, please reach out to The Blueprint at teleperformance.com.